Deadline day has been and gone, and Premier League clubs have registered the rest of their team for the end of the Premier League season. There's been 34 deals complete in January, but let's go through every Premier League club and basically give them a grade, and not a grade this time, we'll give them a position. So first place being you're the best transfer window in the whole thing, and 20th, you've had a bit of a stinker. Who are we starting with, Dad?
Well, there's been a few stinkers, but we'll start with Arsenal, Theo, and I'll tell you what, Austin Trusty has come in, but he's gone straight out on loan. He's from the Colorado Rapids. But Arsenal, for me, Theo, it's about who's gone out. Now, let's run through them.
Yeah.
Aubameyang, Kolasinac have gone, and also loan transfers for Balogun, Maitland-Niles, Pablo Mari.
That's a good memory, Thog Dad. You definitely weren't looking at your notes. Now, it's very good from Arsenal to remove a lot off the wage bill. I'd say a lot of that is deadwood.
Yes.
What were your thoughts on the deadline day move to sell Aubameyang to Barcelona? Did they need to do that? Because there wasn't a replacement in through the door.
Yes, Theo, he was causing problems in the camp. He's not delivered since signing that contract. He's been a failure of recent years, so time to go.
They've got one striker in Lacazette, nobody else for the rest of the season. They went for Vlahovic and Alexander Isak and failed. They didn't panic buy, which you can benefit them for, but they didn't get a replacement in.
Overall, I think reducing that wage bill so much,
yeah,
it's good business overall. I'm putting them 10th, actually.
I'm very close in putting them 11th. The reason I've given them respect is they're not in the FA Cup.
Yes.
They don't have European football this year. Do they really need to panic buy a striker? They're not in that many competitions. They can wait till the summer, get the right price for a player that they really want, and they haven't rushed into things. So fair play, mid-table for Arsenal, considering they didn't do much business. That's pretty good.
Aston Villa now, and we've got to start with Philippe Coutinho. I can't believe this. 4 years ago, Theo, he was being sold for 120 million. One of the best players in the world. I've seen him live. Superb football.
Incredible. Aston Villa have not only brought in players this month. Let's start with the gaffer, Steven Gerrard. What an appointment.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
The project at Aston Villa has got everybody talking globally.
It has.
And when players see that Coutinho's going there, Steven Gerrard's going there, Luca Dean, what an amazing signing.
Well, first of all, respect to the Villa board for backing Steven Gerrard. The pull as a manager that he's brought is incredible. He's come from Rangers, had some cracking results so far. Philippe Coutinho, ex-teammate of Steven Gerrard. So that's probably part of the reason that move happened. Snatching Lucas Digne off Everton, and he's been one of the players that's created the most for them, big chances before, this season and the coming years before that. They're signing players that have proven it in the Premier League. They're coming together with the youth coming through like Jacob Ramsey, Chukwuemeka. I think this Villa team could be exciting, but in terms of business, Robin Olsen, Callum Chambers,
yes,
they're quite low on the wage bill. They're just good for rotation. This is a perfect transfer window in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Callum Chambers is a good one, the forgotten man from Arsenal. Like I've said, Luca Dean, I think that is an absolute sale of the century.
But it's not just about the big names. The Robin Olsens and Callum Chambers are great for rotation. The only thing that would have topped Villa's transfer window is getting Luis Suarez in. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be, but it was still an incredible transfer window. Therefore, it's my first place.
There's only one place for Aston Villa, top of the league, first place.
I've given them first as well. But this is boring now. We've both given away our first.
Talking of global headlines, we've got to talk about Brentford. That man, Christian Eriksen, I'm so happy that he's going to be playing football again. Absolutely brilliant move.
What a move. I think it's a very clever piece of business. Couldn't play in Italy because of the heart reasons. He's got something in his heart and that isn't allowed to play in the Serie A. Brentford are currently 8 points above the relegation. They're not getting relegated with players like Christian Eriksen. He's going to help create. Clearly, goals is something they'd like to score more of. They've kept hold of Ivan Toney. And Mbeumo and Toney will be excited to know that Eriksen will be behind them. They're going to score more.
I tell you what, there's massive Danish links, aren't there, at Brentford? So he's going to be amongst fellow Danish players. And I think he can lift them. And we see him do that for the Danish national side. And another transfer to mention, Thomas Frank. He signed an extension to his contract. That is massive.
That's a good thing to manage. And also, Ivan Toney kept at the club. What they've done is kept their core and improved it in other parts.
Fourth place. Brentford are staying up.
For one signing, you've given them fourth.
Yes.
That's insane.
Well, Theo, they've made headlines throughout the world, and I think it's brilliant for football and for Brentford.
Well, it is a one big signing as well, so fair play.
Brighton and Hove Albion now, they've brought in a couple of lads and loaned them out. Kasper Kozlowski, an 18-year-old central midfielder, and Dennis Undav, who is the top scorer in the Belgian league this season with 28 contributions there.
The interesting thing about Undav and the other player, they're both from the same club in Belgium. The link is Tony Bloom's brother club, and whenever a player performs well in his other club, he's obviously going to bring them over to the Brighton team.
Absolutely. Now, they are loaned out for the rest of the season, but look out for them when they come back next season. But going in the other direction, Dan Burn, Theo.
Yeah, Dan Burn, they've sold for good money. He's one of their backup defenders. They've got options, so that's fine. But they didn't lose Bissouma.
Yes.
35 million bid from Villa, declined. Big up to them. They could have easily, I think they want at least 50 million. So Brighton have had a very good window. I want to mention Undav, the player that they brought in, 18 goals, 10 assists in 25 games in the Belgian league. Union are currently top. They've loaned him back out, finished the season. They'll probably win the league. Then he gets to step up to the Prem. I've got him on So Rare. So Rare is a game where when they do well in real life, you get points. I've had a lot of points. I'll just tell you that, Brighton fans. Watch out for him next season. You've invested in the future. Tony Bloom's done a good job there.
Absolutely. Overall, 7th place.
Brighton deserve 7th place. I probably could have put them ahead of Brentford, but still very respectable.
Burnley now, and Wout Weghorst has come in, hasn't he, Theo?
Yeah.
What do you think of him? He gets a goal every 2 or 3 games, I think.
Yeah, good player. 6'6", exactly what Burnley need. They sold Chris Wood for 25 million. They brought in Weghorst for 12 million, half the price. That's brilliant, isn't it?
I think that is great business. Chris Wood has been a great goal scorer over the years, but he's 30 years old. You've got very good money for him. Good business.
I think the problem with this transfer window for Burnley FC, they didn't bring in a creative midfielder, and neither did they bring in a winger.
I think overall, Theo, that wasn't an inspiring transfer window, but Sean Dyche, I think he might be able to keep the team up.
If you look at that Burnley 11, they could have improved in probably every position, and they've only improved in one.
But I'm going to put them 11th. I think overall, decent business.
Yeah, I put them 9th, which is pretty kind considering their transfer window could have been a lot better, but with the transfer budgets, they don't want to overspend because if they do get relegated, they don't want to have financial fair play problems. They've weighed that in. They don't want to go extremely high on the wages. So, in fairness, probably 2 sides to every story. But best of luck to Burnley to surviving.
Chelsea now, and they've pretty much done nothing. And what worries me here, Theo, you've got the likes of Rudiger, Azpilicueta, Christensen, who need new contracts.
Yeah, that's the focus. The transfer window should have just been on new contracts, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it could well have been, Theo. So a lot of Chelsea fans are a little bit disappointed.
I think the problem is they're in 4 major competitions this year. They haven't strengthened in positions that they could have done. They could have done with an extra winger, forward. Ousmane Dembele was linked on deadline day. That didn't happen. Chelsea fans will be a little bit disappointed. But I think the real key problem with Chelsea FC this window, and I know they probably had no intention of investing in a fullback, but since Ben Chilwell's been out long term, that left wing back role, you're either playing Marcus Alonso there or Malang Sarr.
Yes.
In 4 competitions, if you want to be going for Champions Leagues and Premier League titles, that is simply not good enough. They failed Lucas Digne at the start of the window, and there was no other option. That's not good enough from Chelsea. Therefore, I'm putting them down in 16th.
Wow, very harsh. But having said that, 17th. Should have done more. Crystal Palace, Jean-Philippe Mateta was on loan. That's now a permanent. Yeah. That's reasonable.
Like 4.5 years as well. Unbelievable contract. It's good business. They brought in Plonge from Derby. Plunge? I don't know how to say his name. But they've loaned him back out to Derby. Fingers crossed they can survive in Championship too. But for 1 million, that's a good investment in the future. Not too busy for Palace this window.
Absolutely not. 14th place.
Yeah, I put them 13th. The big problem was they missed out on Donny van der Beek.
Yes.
He obviously went to Everton. A bit of a competition in the table as well, because Everton will start to get results now with Lampard, and they'll be fighting out. So to lose out to a competitor on a player that could have made a big difference on the team, it's not what you want.
Everton now, and this was a bit of a supermarket trolley dash, wasn't it? First of all, Luca Dean has gone in the wrong direction for me. That's bad business. But let's start with, I don't know, Donny van der Beek, Theo. Is this a sensible move?
Donny van der Beek is a sensible move, but you do got to question why you'd sign him and Dele Alli. Frank Lampard's got to find a way of fitting them together. But we do know, for example, Bruno Fernandes would always replace Donny van der Beek in the Man United team. Unless they're going to turn him into a number 9, we'll be looking to play in that sort of 10 role, which is similar to Donny van der Beek. Lampard, I'm sure, will find a way of making it work. What do you think?
Well, I think that Donny van der Beek has struggled to survive in the Premier League, and I think Dele Alli spent 7 seasons at Tottenham Hotspur. The first 3 were superb. The next 2 were average. The last 2 have been absolutely dire. So I don't understand that transfer, Theo.
It's worth the risk to see if we could get the old Dele Alli. That was destroying Premier League teams as a teenager, fresh from MK Dons. He was unbelievable. I want to chance that. Frank Lampard, if there's any manager that can bring out players that have had maybe a difficult life outside of football, I think it's him. He's a great gaffer for man management. You've seen what he did to Mason Mount at Chelsea. I think he could do that to Dele Alli.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think Everton have been wasting shed loads of money for the last few seasons. Mykolenko, for what I've seen so far.
He's played like 1 game. Don't judge him. Everton have done well this January transfer window. 3rd place.
Well, you know what? I'm putting them 6th because I think there were positives and negatives.
Toffees fans, we all hate Thogdad.
Leeds United spent big in the summer, as we know, on Junior Firpo, Daniel James, Jack Harrison. They haven't spent much money in the transfer window, but they've held on to Rafinha and the man Calvin Phillips.
Hanging on to Rafinha is basically a new signing.
Yes.
He's incredible, and he's just went out to Brazil, and the sort of goals he's scoring, he's running that Brazil national team. Do you reckon they can win the World Cup at Qatar? I know you do. You said it, didn't you?
Yes, I do, actually. I love the guy Rafinha. I think he's an absolutely special player. I think if Leeds had lost him, they might have been relegated.
The problem with Leeds' transfer window in January is we know they've got a very thin squad.
Yeah.
When their main players got injured, like Calvin Phillips, Patrick Bamford, the replacements were risking it on the kids. Joe Geldhart had to come in. But because of injuries, they've had to come in and put in a shift. They're not Premier League ready. Leeds didn't have a backup team ready. There was no plan B, I don't think. They've done all right so far this season to get results. But Marcelo Bielsa should have invested in players with low wages that would have been good for squad rotation. They haven't done that this window, and I think it can come back to haunt them if they start to see some more big players get injured. Imagine Rafinha or Jack Harrison were injured tomorrow. It would be an absolute killer for the squad.
Yeah, I think Leeds will survive. They've got players coming back from injury, and in some ways, I think this transfer window was sensible. So I'm going to put them 13th.
I don't think it was sensible at all. I think they should have invested in players that can rotate when there's other injuries. So I'm putting them down in 19th.
Leicester City now, for me, they needed a centre-back at the very least, and they've gone and done nothing. So disappointing.
Yeah, I've got them down in 15th because they've not done enough. But Fofana coming back from an injury is like a new signing. And I kind of feel as if that is why they haven't gone invested in a centre-back. Because the injury room is screaming, let Fofana have some game time when he's back. Don't invest on another centre-back because then you're just going to end up paying a lot of wages and there's going to be people on the bench.
I'm going to say 18th. Liverpool now, and they've brought in Luis Diaz from Porto. He's absolutely smashing it in the Portuguese league. More than one contribution every single game. 40 million quid. Good signing, Theo.
Very good signing. Luis Diaz, I still remember his goal for Porto against Manchester City where he just ran through the whole team. Have you seen it?
I have, and that is absolutely brilliant. And the thing about Liverpool, Theo, they do one sensible transfer at a time.
They do.
They don't go on this trolley dash like Everton, do they?
Well, they literally threw away the Fabio Carvalho deal on deadline day.
Yes.
They didn't panic. They basically thought, we can wait till the summer and build up a proper contract negotiation and get what we want. Liverpool are very well run.
Yes.
They get what they want and they don't spend ridiculous. But what I think is brilliant about this Luis Diaz deal is you don't have to rely on Mane and Salah in all competitions come the end of the season. The 25-year-old, he's not a kid. He's got experience. He's ready for the Premier League. But a lot of the Liverpool team are 30 and above.
Yes.
So they are slightly youthening the team. I know it sounds weird with a 25-year-old. It takes weight off the shoulders for Mane and Salah in the latter stages of the season. They won't be as reliant on, and that's really good.
That is true. There's a lot of work to be done at Liverpool over the next 2 or 3 years, but I think this is very sensible. They're shopping at Armani. Other clubs are shopping at Primark. Liverpool, 5th place.
I'm putting them in 4th. Not bad for their one signing. And Fabio Carvalho, apparently they've got a contract negotiation with Fulham so they can get that move at the start of the summer, which is when they would have signed him anyway. So it's not bad from Liverpool there.
Manchester City now, and they've gone and signed a centre forward. He's 22 years old. He's coming from River Plate in the summer, and he's smashing it in Argentina.
He's doing a great job. Julian Alvarez has incredible stats in the Argentinian league. He had interest from Manchester United and all the big European star football clubs, but he picked Manchester City. This transfer window, City still made a profit.
I know.
They sold off Ferran Torres for 50 million.
Yeah.
I think they bought him something like 30.
Yes, good business.
Cheeky 20 mil profit. They still were above the books with this Julian Alvarez signing, who's something for the future. It's a Pep Guardiola and City board masterclass. I'm putting them in 5th place. They didn't need to do too much. If I was to say one negative, you probably should have signed a backup left back.
Theo, I agree with that sentiment. I'm putting City in 8th place. Manchester United now, and these players are going out of the door. Diallo, Tuanzebe, Martial, Van der Beek out on loan. United, for me, needed a holding midfielder, a DM or a CM, along the lines of an N'Golo Kante. They've not spent.
Well, something doesn't really add up for me with this Manchester United transfer window, because in this high energy Ralph Rangnick midfield that we need to know, and they've got to do a lot of running. The backup is Nemanja Matic. They really should have invested in someone youthful who's got the energy to play under Ralph's system. Jesse Lingard, on deadline day, he's only played 88 minutes this season. Poor lad, wanted to make a move away. Manchester United cancelled it and saying they don't want to allow him to go. It's just a mess.
It is a bit of a mess. Man United, one of the biggest teams in the world, and their fans are furious at the lack of business. And because of that, 19th place.
I put them 18th, and I'm going to say something. I think it's because the board are looking to Pochettino now. They want to save their budgets and their scouting and all the potential signings to be approved by Poch.
But Theo, surely United want to finish 4th and get into the Champions League next year. They've got to have ambition.
Of course they do. And they believe the team they currently have is good enough to do that. That's probably their reasoning.
Newcastle United, now it's hard to know where to start. So I'm just going to say Bruno Guimaraes, Theo. He's coming in from Lyon, 24-year-old defensive midfielder, Brazilian international. This one excites me.
He does. Newcastle started off bidding for Sven Botman, Diego Carlos, trying to get a key centre-back in. I said if there was one centre-back, they should have brought in Nicolas Soulé would be the next. One big name.
Yes.
It didn't work out. Most of the clubs said no, or the players didn't come to an agreement. In January, it's tough if you want to bring in a big player and you're at a club like Newcastle. We're trying to get from that relegation fighting team to be one of the big boys. It's a transition period. They've ended up with Dan Burn in that position. Do you think that's good enough?
I think that is a decent signing, and the price is about right. They've also brought in Kieran Trippier. I think that is very, very exciting.
Trippier was at the start of the month. I thought that was good business. They got Matt Targett on the other wing-back role. Look, they're not outstanding signings. Like, Lucas Digne would have been the better option. But it's not a bad backup. And Newcastle, they might have gone a bit crazy and basically bought a new squad, but at least they've done that from doing nothing. There's still improvements, and Bruno Guimaraes, the creative midfielder, the Brazilian from the French league, I'm very excited to see what he can do.
Yes, me too. Of all the transfers they've made, Guimaraes is the most exciting. Chris Wood, I'm not too sure. I think you've overpaid there. I think Newcastle, they've gone on a bit of a dash. They've spent a lot of money. They've probably done enough to stay up.
Well, we expected this. I bet a lot of these players they've hired are on crazy wages.
Yes.
So if they were to get relegated, financial fair play will be right up there. So they have to stay up. They've got no choice. Eddie Howe has pressure on his shoulders because I don't know what they'd possibly do if they went down.
Yes, I'm not sure all these transfers will work out, but they've done what they had to do. And for that reason, 2nd place.
Will they stay up?
It's going to be very, very close, Theo. Yeah. I think Burnley and Watford and one other. I think it's going to be right down to the wire.
I think Burnley will go down. I think Watford and Norwich.
And Norwich.
I think Newcastle will find a way out. I'm going to give them 2nd place because this window may have saved their season. Incredible how much business they made.
Norwich City spent over 50 million in the summer, so this is no surprise they haven't spent any money. Lots of loan signings on the way out, including Todd Cantwell. Theo, what do you reckon?
No additions, despite all the teams around them investing heavily, as we just mentioned. Is 20th place for me.
Theo, that's very harsh because it's pure reality that Norwich can't afford to spend. They're a yo-yo club.
Yeah.
It would have been very silly if they spent another 50 million.
Real sad story about Cantwell going on loan with an option to buy to Bournemouth. He was once linked with Manchester United.
He's got to sort out his life and his career. I hope it works out for him because 2 years ago we were all excited by that lad.
You say they've got no money, Dad, but what if they signed one big player that could have really boosted their squad and helped them push for survival? That maybe Dean Smith has played with before, but who knows, it wasn't to be.
Southampton now, not much to say. Broja is not yet permanent, is he, Theo?
No, that was the plan in January, and Southampton have failed to do that. We know how incredible he is, and that's probably part of the reason Chelsea are holding off. They're thinking, he might be the future of our club, never mind yours. I'm not sure they're going to be able to make that permanent. If they do, it will be incredible. Real shame story about Sam McQueen as well. Come out with a long injury. He's been battling with injuries his whole career, and he's had to throw the towel in and say, I'm going to have to step away from football now. I want to mention that. A lot of you won't know about that story, so it'd be nice for you to put a picture on the screen, Josh. Wish you the best with your future endeavours after football. Southampton have had a quiet one, 14th.
18th place. Tottenham Hotspur now, and they brought in a couple of lads from Juventus.
Yep.
There is Rodrigo Bentancur, 24-year-old central midfielder, and Dejan Kulusevski, the Swedish international. What do you reckon, Theo?
Bitter and sweet with Tottenham this window. Panicky, I would argue. That's the way I'd put it. No wing-back signed. Adama Traore chose Barcelona. They were linked with him first. They could have got the business done and dusted, but they didn't, and he went to another club. Another one, Luis Diaz. A winger that would have really impacted Tottenham's season. He would have been straight in the first team starting for them. He went to Liverpool. A competitor in the Premier League. I know some people will argue they're a little bit higher, but you sell to another Prem club, that's a big loss for Tottenham because they should have brought him in. They could have done with another winger. What do you reckon?
I reckon some of the players who've gone out on loan here were pretty much dead wood. You've got the likes of Lo Celso, Brian Gill and Ndombele. A lot of money spent on them, a lot of expectation. So get them off the wage bill. I think that's very sensible.
No, but I don't understand. If you're going for a right wing back, which they were going to turn Adama Traore into, who's very good at crossing, we've seen the stats. If that doesn't get done, okay, who's the next option? They didn't bring someone in to play in that role. A secondary striker. Kulusevski's more of a winger. Don't get me wrong, he could be a good player, but you're gambling on him rather than going for someone who I think was more likely to do well in the Premier League, which is Luis Diaz. So have your say on Tottenham, but I've got them in 12th. It's some good signings and then some unfortunate losses selling to clubs they're competing against.
Look, Theo, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I don't think you can solve all your problems in the January transfer window. So overall, 3rd place. I think Spurs' business has been very reasonable.
There's a lot more to do in the summer for Antonio Conte. He needs to find the team that he wants. We've not got that. We're not going to get it for a while because of budgets. So we'll see.
Watford now spent 11 million on 3 players. Hassan Kamara came in from Nice. He's a left-back. Samir, the centre-back from Udinese. And Samuel Kalu, the 24-year-old right-back from Bordeaux. So they've spent some money. So respect there, Theo.
Roy Hodgson. He's someone that has kept Premier League clubs up all his career as a manager. Can he do it again?
Do you know what, Theo? They're rolling the dice. I think they can't, but who knows?
Who knows?
You know, they've not wasted 50 mil or 100 mil. They've spent sensibly. So good luck to Watford. Watford, 12th place.
I've got Watford in, drumroll please, 8th place.
West Ham United fighting for 4th place and a Champions League place. A very thin squad, and they've done nothing, Theo.
Worrying times for West Ham, isn't it?
This is a real missed opportunity. It shows a lack of ambition for me.
The last thing they need is a thin squad come the end of the season. David Moyes has been incredible so far. His form is covering the cracks of the ownership situation. Are they really getting backed properly? Because West Ham are in the best form that they've ever been as a football club. They needed proper backing this window to step up as a football club and have those backups when they're in the latter stages of Europe and fighting for Champions League football next year. Would you blame the owners?
Well, I'll tell you what, Theo. Bolton Wanderers back in the day, we were getting into the Europa League 2 seasons out of 3. We had a chance to get into the Champions League, believe it or not. And then the owners thought, we're not going to take the chance. We're not going to spend the money. And Sam Allardyce walked. And this is my worry at West Ham.
Big Sam left after a weak January transfer window with a lack of ambition. He must have listed to the board, I want him, him and him. They got none of them. Do you reckon the same has happened to David Moyes? He's gone to the owners and thought, Darwin Núñez, Rafinha, who else? They didn't get any of them. And now they're looking at their squad thinking, you boys are great, but when you get shattered and there's injuries coming through, who are you going to look to?
I know, I agree, Theo. I think West Ham could drop to about 8th to 10th place. Whoa. I'm going 20th.
That's a killer. I'd put them in 17th. Real lackluster from them, and it's unfortunate because they could have stepped up.
Wolverhampton Wanderers have brought in Chiquinho, who is a promising Portuguese winger. Hwang Ki-chan has made permanent, but Adama Traore's gone the other direction.
Adama Traore is left. He's not added much in contributions, but in creativity this season he has been a good player. What do you think about that move for Wolves fans and their club, selling Adama to Barca? What's your take?
I think it's sensible. I love watching this lad, Theo. He's pacey, he can take on a player, great to watch. But he's not delivering enough contributions. And if you're an attacking midfielder, that's your job. And you know what? Dele Alli, that was his problem. 4 seasons ago, he stopped contributing.
He didn't even start every week for Wolves sometimes. So Barcelona are looking over thinking, you know what? Let's give him a contract. I don't know. At mid-table, they've invested in the future. They've got a good project. They haven't brought too many players and characters that are going to walk into the first team. No, because why would they change that? On the best form in the league right now. So I'm going to give them 10th place.
And I'm going to almost agree 9th place.
What do you think of our position in the table for each club on their transfer window? We must have got your club wrong, or some of them. So let us know in the comments. Call us a mug if you like. What was the best piece of business done in January this window? Only 34 deals. I swear we've had so many more in previous years.
Theo, of all those transfers, I'm going to put you on the spot. Which was the best one?
Oh, I'm going to go Christian Eriksen for Brentford. I just think for a club like Brentford to sign a player as good as he is, it's going to change the season. They're not going to get relegated like this. He's going to be with all his Danish boys. Loving it. Guys, comment down below what has been the best piece of business. I'll probably pin the comment so you can respond. And have a good rest of the season. The teams are now complete. You can't change your team anymore. It's your academies and your 25-man squads. Best of luck.
See ya.